Good morning, everyone. Today is our fourth session. So today we are going to discuss first about some Figma elements and how to do designs in Figma. And in the end, I'm going to give you the capstone project for this short course. So you have 1 week to submit your assignment. I will give you more details in the end of this session. So let's start today's session. So it is about Figma. Okay, last week we discussed uh, about color theory and some UX process. So in the second week we discussed about UX process and methods and how to apply UX design process practically, and also how to empathize and why is it important to empathize with your users in design thinking, and how to conduct user interviews and competitive analysis, as well as creating personas and user flows, which help you to come up with better designs and better design solutions when you are working on a project. So last week we discussed these: color psychology and color theory, typography, how to select different typefaces based on your requirement and the client you are working with and the target users. So all those things uh, have to take into the consideration when you are choosing a typeface or a color uh, as well. So then we talked about style guide and how to create a branding guideline and what is the usage of branding guidelines, and also how to create a style guide and why is it so important in UI and UX. And in the end, we talked about some UX laws. There are many other laws as well. If you Google UX laws, you will find there are so many which added recently as well. So I invite you to study them as well when you are doing the designs. And finally, we talked about creating wireframes, low fidelity wireframes, mid fidelity, as well as high fidelity wireframes. So that is already done. If you have any questions regarding previous sessions, you can ask through a chat message, or you can just ask by switching on your microphone. And today we are going to discuss about Figma. I mean, okay, UI design with Figma. First, I already introduced you to Figma, and we are going to discuss about Boolean operations, responsive grid layout, auto layout, components, variants, and responsive design. So I think I have discussed all these topics roughly with you during our previous session, especially when we were designing on Figma. So I'm going to cover them in more thorough and give you more details about them today. So introduction to Figma, Figma home screen community and Figma design file. So if you have Figma application installed in your computer, or even if you are using a web browser, web version, you have the similar interface. So this is the interface that Figma is giving us. I think most of you have already have Figma accounts and open your accounts and worked with it during past few weeks, even if you haven't had any prior experience. So this is our layout. It is similar to most of the other designing tools, such as if you're familiar with Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe XD, or even Sketch app. This is the familiar design layout. You have layers on your left-hand side, all the things you created already, and the properties on your right-hand side, and all the controls and the things that you can create are on top menu. So if I go to Figma here, so if in the file we have the new tab, open file browser, and you can open all the files and you can save as Figma file and export with different uh, versions such as PDF images or anything. And in the edit, if you click on one of these, what you have already created, the edit functions, undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, the normal things are displaying here. You can even find something if you label them correctly, or if you have text content, you can use find to find anything. Find next means if you have similar objects in your design, you can click find next, so it will give you the similar object uh, to what you already selected. Find previous, find and replace. You can easily do the find and replace as well. So even in the coding, you have uh, this find and replace function, find and replace. So it is similar here. You can find what are the components you already created, and you can edit them, like replace them if you want by using find and replace. And you can duplicate, you can paste to replace, duplicate, delete, set default properties, and there are property options here, and pick color. So pick color is something like this. You have shortcuts as well. So if you pick color here, it will give you the color picker like this. Select all, select none, select inverse. So if you select all, control plus A or select all, let's select all from here. So it will select all the things that you already created. So if you select inverse, if you select this and then select inverse, it will select all the other things apart from this one. And then there are some options where you can select all with same properties, same fill, same text properties. So these are really important if you want to change something in your designs. But if you have followed the atomic design principles, such as you created atoms first, which are the most basic elements, and then the molecules, and finally the species we call screens. So if you follow that step, you don't need actually these things. But if you do the design in a normal way, like if you copy and paste every single screen of your page, uh, these will be useful. So you can create instance and variants. You can select them as well. These are autofill and emoji as well. So these also, if you open your Figma right now, and if you try to click on each of these, it will show you what it is about. So if you add a, say, I'm creating a frame here. So this is my frame. So I'm going to add a layout grid here. So if I go here and do a pix, if I create two more elements inside this, let's give it a color. Give this one a different color. So we have these two elements. If I go here and click on pixel grid, the pixel grids are hidden. You won't be able to see the pixels in like when you zoom the screen, but when you zoom it out, you will be able to see all the pixels in your design. And in the layout grid, so layout grid, if you hide that, you won't be able to see the layout grid like this. This is the layout grid. You won't be able to see the layout grid if you hide it. So layout grids are important if you want to do a symmetrical design. So you can maintain the symmetry in your design, and also it will help you to build a consistent design with like if you have a same padding, same margin between your elements, you can actually, let's say I have this design here, so I want padding of 6 pixels. So if I count number of pixels here, it will give me 6 pixels as well. But in Figma, it is much easier. So if you create this kind of element, let's see, uh, I'm creating this, and this is full screen. So I'm going to take the whole screen here. Let's say the width is 3000, and this one also 3000. And I'm going to center it and edit here. So if you want to give a margin, what you can do is, if you, let's say if you want to give a 30 pixels on each side. So what you can do is you can easily do your calculation here. So 13 to 2 is 60. You can put 60 and it will have the padding from both sides as well. So you can see this one is 30 pixels, and also from the right hand side it has 30 pixels. So one particular box or a square has 10 pixels. Inside this there are 10 squares as well. So you have the understanding about that. And then pixel preview, mask outlines, frame outlines, memory usage, you can check that. And open developer mode, you can even open the developer mode by toggling here. And then we have zoom in, where you can zoom in your screen and have a good look at what you are designing. And zoom out is this, and zoom to 100% and zoom to fit. Zoom to 100% is like it is 100% of your design, the actual size of your design. But most of the time we are using zoom to fit, so we can like see everything in our screens. Zoom to selection will give you the will zoom it to fit your screen, but it will only zoom in what you already selected. Zoom previous frame, and there are some other options as well. Toggle full screen, always show tabs when presenting. So those are presentation options. And object. In the object, we have group selection. We can group, convert to section, frame selection, which we are using in responsive design most of the time. Ungroup selection, use as mask. So masking is something you can do when you are creating a logo or particular graphic illustration using Figma. You can use mask to hide some text, hide some image, put image inside a circle or particular shape you already created. You can use mask. I will show you how to use it when we are doing the remaining part of our presentation. And there are some options for components as well. I already mentioned how to create components and variants, but I will do it again today. So if you have any concerns or if you have any questions, you can ask during the session. Bring to front, forward. I think most of you have already experienced these in even the word processors such as Word. You can bring a image forward, image backward, send text backward, and so on. So flip horizontal means you can uh, flip it in the x-axis. So if it won't show up because it is similar. So if I flip this horizontally, you can see that it is flipping horizontally, and even flip vertical, it is flipping in y-axis. Flatten selection. So this is important if you do your designs to send someone like to print. So let's say you are sending some leaflets to print, and the person who are opening the design file don't have that particular font. So let's say you are using custom font installed only in your computer. You are not using Google font or anything, and you are sending a design file to a printer, and they don't have that font installed in their computer. So it will show them a message here that these fonts are missing. So they can either replace those fonts, or they can install these fonts by asking you. But if you like use that font curve, we call it flattened selection, uh, this will happen. So it won't be a text layer anymore. It is just a vector layer. So you can easily send it to your printers and he can print the same design, same typography that you already designed. It is really important if you are sending it for print, or even if your UI has some PDF output or something like that, you can use that. But it is not a good practice to use custom fonts which only have in your computer. I always invite you to use fonts, Google Fonts or Adobe Typekit fonts for your designs, which will be easier and everyone have access to those fonts as well. So we were talking about, then we have rotate and rasterize. So if we do rasterize this selection, it will create the raster file of that. Right now, I will show you with a different example with an image how it is going to work. And then we have show height selection, collapse layers, remove fill, remove stroke, and we have those options as well. And we have text options. Even here, we have alignment, and you can easily access those text options from here as well. All these options are mentioned in the menu uh, here. Arrange vector, and this is plugins where you can install different plugins. So let's see what are the plugins I have installed. So material symbols is something you can uh, load material design icons to your screen. So all these icons, you can quickly click on one of those and this icon will paste to your screen. So it has different options, like it will behave as a layer. So you can resize it or you can recolor it and use it in your designs. And there are some other plugins as well. I have deleted most of my plugins uh, after I do a particular project because I don't want them to be there, because it kind of like slowing down the whole Figma system as well. So these were some tools I used recently. And you can develop new plugins and you can weave their API documentation and develop new plugins to uh, do your designs as well, to make your design process faster. And you can create widgets. There are some widgets. So these are already like pre-created widgets that you can use in your designs. Let's say you are using this. So this design is already created. So you don't have to do the design like buttons and or anything. You can see that all the things is already created. Hover status and click states and everything is already created. Even accordion and everything is already done. So you can go to widgets and find any design that you like to put in your own project as well. And these are how to create new widgets in Figma. So let's go to our presentation. So Figma home screen, I already discussed, community and Figma design file. So if you go here and click on explore community, it will show you Figma community file. So in here we can access to all other designs where all our co-designers shared. There are paid and free versions. So most of the time, if you are using free version, they will only give you like a limited amount of design. But if you are willing to pay, you will have more options. You can get entire UI for special applications like for website, for a mobile application. You can take the entire UI from that as well. And also you can get some inspirations from other people's design, and you can search whatever you like let's say for example uh, restaurant app. But similar designs will show up. Like these are some restaurants that Figma users have already done, and they were sharing them with the community. So you can easily grab one of these and get a inspiration from them and do your own design as well. And later when you do a good design, you can share with the community as well. So other people can benefit from that as well. It is kind of like open source community where you can share your designs and get ideas from other people's design as well. Figma design file. So let's discuss about Figma design file. Let's open a new file. So we have two options when we are opening Figma. We have new design file and new FigJam file. Let's first discuss about new design file. So on left hand side, we have layers and pages. In the free version, they are giving up to 3 pages. But if you have like paid version, you can add any number of pages you want. So this is the uh, main layout. You can rename your design by double clicking on this, and let's say you can name whatever you want. So these are inside the drafts folder. So it is showing up all the files in that particular folder. So the page design, if you want to change the background color of your main artboard, like background, you can change by picking colors by using this. So I'm going to leave it the same as it was and delete some of these pages. You can delete by right clicking on it and delete page. Let's say you create one design. Let's create one design, phone design, and here. And you created something. And then you want to copy the same design to your next page as well. So what you can do is you can duplicate the page, and let's rename this page. You can rename by double clicking on it. So these are pages and these are frames. So in page 1 we have uh, this particular frame. Let's say rename it as phone, and in page 5 we have the pasted frame. Let's go to page 1, and if you want to create a duplicate of this, what you can do is you can Control D is the shortcut for duplicate. You can create a clone of what you already created. And uh, these are all color properties. If you can add a fill, you can select whatever the color you want. And even here you have the gradients, and in here you can choose an image and paste it here. So if I go to my desktop, I have screenshots most of the time. Let's see. Okay, I have added this as my background color. So you can change the exposure, contrast, and there are many options as well. So another way you can add an image is you can go to the image you have already, copy it, Control C in Windows, and then paste it here, Control V. So it will show up in your inside your square as well. You can later change the size of that to match your element by dragging from its uh, corners, and then you can rotate it as you want as well. I think those are some basic image manipulation techniques you already familiar with. And there are other options to add stroke. So this will uh, add a stroke to your image. Let's see to this image. If we add a stroke, you can clearly see the black color stroke, and you can add a gradient stroke as well if you like, and you can change the width of your stroke as well. And you can place it either center of your image or inside or outside. And there are some other options where you can customize your stroke style, dash, or you can if you want dash cap to be squared, you can put like this. If you want it to be rounded, you can select this. And even the join is right here on your, in each corner we have 4 joins, so you can uh, change the uh, join design like method as well. It can be meter or bevel or rounded. It is actually based on what your requirement. If you like doing a design with squares with like direct corners, you can leave it as this. And if you prefer rounded corners, you can use rounded. So I'm going to change this back to solid. And there are some effects where you can add these effects as well. So let's see each effects. We can create drop shadow, and you can change properties from here. And there are other options in inner shadow. Let's see that inner shadow is created. And then we have layer blur. So this is important if you are creating some pop-ups on your screen. Let's say you have a background in your design like this. Let's take this for example. This is your background image. I'm going to paste it here. And you want to create a pop-up. So what you can do is you can create your pop-up, give it a fill. This is your pop-up window. And select this layer and go to effects and create. You have to select the image and then go to effects and layer blur. So you can uh, change the blur value as well. So it will give you like give your pop-up more prominent look when comparing to the background as well. So it will blur out the background, and you can easily see your pop-up without any distractions from background colors or anything. Layer blur is if you want to blur your layer out, you can use layer blur. So let's change the color to black, and let's give some. I'm going to remove the blur from background layer. So let's see. You can create a blur layer as well. So if you go to website like blur.com, you can see the menu navigation bar is changing. Like even in Apple UI in your phone, you can clearly see that the navigation bar, the UI navigation bar, is changing background like upon the background color. It has a blur version as well, so you can see the watch not clearly, but it is blurred out. So you can add that kind of effects by using Figma as well. So that is, and then finally we can export our layers as PNG, JPEG, SVG, or PDF as well. And you can look for the preview as well. So that is the Figma home screen, community, and Figma design file. So if you have any questions up until now, you can ask. Let's see. Okay, now we are going to discuss about Boolean operations. Uh, like many of other image manipulation, image editing application, Figma also have union, subtract, intersect, and exclude. So let's go to Figma and find out what is it. So first I'm going to create a shape. I'm creating this square, and then this circle, then I give a background color of this, and I'm going to create another circle and give it a different background color, and I'm going to put it behind the square. So if I select one of these elements, I have options like I can use it as a mask, and also we discuss about these create components, create a component, create multiple components, create component set. So we already covered those, and you can also make it a selection. So it will act as a different part of your UI. And these are the options we have discussed in our presentation. So we have, if you select two, we have one option, union selection. If you union selection, it will show the whole two layers area in your screen, and it will be highlighted on, uh, it will have the color of upmost layer. So the red color layer is the upmost layer, so it will change the color to that. And then if you select and subtract selection, you can see that the square has a subtraction of that uh, circle we already had on top of that. So that is subtraction. So if you want to intersect, you can clearly see that the intersection of these two elements is only this part. So it will only show that intersection if you do the intersect option, if you select that. Exclude selection, it will hide that particular intersection part and show up all the other elements, all the other layer area in that particular object. So that those are union, subtract, intersect, and exclude. Those will be important when you are doing a design, like if you're doing a logo or any graphic design using Figma for your layouts in UI. Those will be really important. Responsive grid layout for desktop, tablet, and mobile. Okay, so when you are, let's go to another page, and I'm going to create a responsive design. So let's select iPhone 14 Plus for the mobile. So I'm going to rename this as mobile. And for the tab size, I'm going to create another screen, tablet, this size. I'm going to rename it as tablet. Desktop, I'm going to choose this one. So in responsive design, when you are doing a design for a particular company or your own company, uh, let's say you have to design a website. So as a designer, you should give your developers the design for mobile screen, tablet screen, as well as desktop. But in Figma, you can create responsive design using one layout as well. So you don't have to create three different versions, but you can create one version where users can like make it like play with it and see how it is behaving when on different screen sizes. So let's see how is it going to work. So I will open one of my previous designs so I don't have to do the design all over again. Okay, let's say this. All right, now you can see the design I have done for mobile size, and I mentioned the screen size as well. So this is for mobile and this is for tablet and this is for desktop version. So if I show you how many grids, like in the grid layout, how many grids I have created for the mobile. So it is a 4-column layout. So when you are doing the design, responsive design, it is easier if you create your grid layout first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the same kind of a grid layout. So we have 4 columns and this is the color I have chosen. And also these are the uh, properties of the gutter is 16 and the margin is 16 as well. So I'm going to use the same and create our file. So layout grid. I need columns and I need 4 columns. And this one margin is 15 and gutter between the columns is also 15. So this is our layout. So when you are doing the design, you can place your elements. Let's say you are creating a sticker or a card. So you can create your design and you can easily follow the layout grid. So I have lead 15 pixels to right hand side and left hand side. So you can only use that particular area that we already created by using grids to your design, do your design. So it will be consistent and also it won't like cut out when you do the actual implementation with your application. When developers implementing it, they can also go to the mobile screen and they can see how much padding. We have 15 padding and also they can see all the properties that your design have. So it is easy. Okay. And then if you go to desktop, like tablet screen, we have different layout. So we have 8-column layout and also 16 pixels as a padding from both sides of the x-axis. And in the desktop version, we have 12-column layout. So it is a good practice to follow these standards. Like in mobile, we only put 4-column layout, and in tablet 8-column, and in desktop 12-column. And even like bigger desktop sizes, we also follow the same 12-column layout. So let's go to our presentation again. So why grid? Keep space and align design constantly, both horizontally and vertically in all pages. So if you have this grid or the 12 grid layout in place, you can easily do your designs accordingly. So otherwise might stop, you might do one of your designs here and stop your content one place, and in the next design you will stop it again in another place. But if you want to maintain the consistency, you can follow the grid layout. It is a good practice that designers follow in every company. So columns used for horizontal alignment. So as I mentioned, all the columns is for horizontal alignments. And 12 column for desktop, 8 for tablet, and 4 for mobile, as I mentioned. Container desktop is, I have given the values here, but you can easily get it from Figma itself. So if you open a file in Figma and go to the frames, it'll give you all the predefined sizes for different screen sizes you want to design for mobile, tablet, desktop, even presentation, Apple Watch, or anything. So it is really easier. You don't have to worry about the sizes. You can just get the predefined layout and do your designs accordingly. Auto layout. So auto layout is one another advantage of Figma. It makes frames and components to responsive. So let's see how we can achieve that. I think I already discussed it in previous sessions, but let's do it again. So I have I will take this tablet layout. I have this design. I'm going to give it a different fill. Let's say this color. Change the size as well. 40. And I will copy it several times. I have 3 copies. I'm going to name them square 1 for your reference, square 2, and square 3. So these are 3 squares, but right now you can't see them because uh, those are in the same place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all 3, and I'm going to frame selection. So always make sure not a group selection, but the frame selection. So frame selections give you the auto layout opportunities. Otherwise, if you group the selection, you won't be able to see some of these auto layout or constraint properties. So basically, the frame layout is for responsive designing. Group layout you can use if you're doing some illustrations or graphics using Figma. So let's say this a wrapper. And what you can do is you can click on auto layout. So it will give you this kind of a layout. So you can see all 3. I will change the color of others so you can easily distinguish from each. Okay, so we have our 3 squares here. Right now it is going to vertical layout, and you can add a gap between those as well by using this. So let's say I'm adding a 20 as the gap. You can give a padding, x-axis padding, let's say 10, and y-axis also 10. I'm going to give a wrapper different color as well. Let's say this color. Okay, now it's kind of symmetrical. So you can see it is in y-axis right now. So if you want it to horizontal layout, it to be a horizontal layout, you can click this button. So it will align horizontally. But if you have more cards, let's copy and paste some of these more cards. Now you have many cards, like about 10, 12 cards. What you can do is you can wrap. So if you click the wrap and change the size of your division or frame, it will wrap inside that particular frame. So it's here if you like, if you have a gallery of images, if you have a card components, the similar layout, and you want to wrap them inside one particular division, you can use that wrap layout, auto layout as well. So that is the responsive design using auto layout in Figma. Auto layout is done, and then we are going to talk about components. Make reusable components. So I already discussed about it in our previous sessions, but I'm going to uh, do it again today. So how we can create, let's create a button component again. That is the most used components in our UI designs. So I'm going to create a button component. So change the font size to 24 so you can see it easily. And I'm going to give it a sign up. So this is the text. So after you create that, you have to click on that and the frame selection and rename it as button. And then change the color uh, to match your design. So let's say your accent color is blue color. So I'm going to select the blue color. So this is our button, but it don't have any stylings right now. What you can do is you have to go to auto layout and click on that, and even if you change the text content to whatever you want, it will still be responsive, and you can use it in any other text elements as well, button elements as well. So let's say you have a different text, let's say get started. So it will change the size of the division to match your inner content. So let's add some padding to x-axis. I'm going to give it 15, and y-axis I'm going to give it also 15. So this is our design, and increase the x-axis padding to 30. So this is our design, and border radius, let's give it a 15. Okay, now we have a button here. So in order to make it little more nicer, I'm going to add a icon as well. So how you can add icon is you can install the material symbols on your Figma as a plugin, or you can download an SVG file from any internet based resource and paste it here. So I'm going to add an arrow. This is the arrow key. I'm going to copy. So this is the arrow key I have. I'm going to cut it and paste it here and change the color maybe. Okay, right now you have the icon and the text. So it is not properly aligned, as you can see. So in order to make it properly aligned, okay, it is properly aligned, it seems. In order to make it properly aligned, you have to select align center. If you select this, it won't be properly aligned, and even not here. So let's select this. And also horizontal gap between items. So these two items have a 10, like horizontal gap is 10. If you want to make it auto, you can do it by the value is auto. So by doing auto, what it does is, even though if you increase the size of your button, it will align in two corners that align between. But if you don't have the value as auto here, and if you have it 10, it won't behave the same. So it will be fixed, but it is a good practice to put auto here, because if you are doing a responsive design, let's say you want to want it to be in the full size of your screen, you can use the same button you already created. Okay, this is the button we created. So this button, let's give it a gradient fill. Okay, now this is the button we have. So this is the active state of the button. Now you have to create two different states. So one thing you can do is you can create states uh, by copying these. So I'm going to first create by copying this and name this as active and this one as hover. Let's do this one, hover. And we have inactive state as well. In the inactive states, I'm going to give this a 20% color and also text is 20 and the image is 20. This is the inactive state. We have this button. So what we can do is we can select all this and go to create component set. So component 1, it has 3 variants. We are going to name it as call to action, or let's call it button. And property 1, it has properties, property 1, property 2, property 3. I'm going to name it as state. So the first state is active, current variant. And the second state is hover. And the third one is also hover because I forgot to rename it when I was creating that. So I'm going to give it inactive. Now we have our button component set. So we can easily use it anywhere we want. So if you want to like copy your gradient as well, what you can do is in the fill, click on this plus icon right here. This plus icon, I'm sorry. And then make it a variable. So you can make it a variable and use it in your designs when you're doing design. So if I show it to you here, so all these colors in this design, I have created white 100 state. So those gradient libraries are here. So I can easily select one of these buttons or anything and put the color I want by selecting the predefined values. So that is how you create a design system. So regarding the component, so now we have 3 states for our button component. So how we can use it is go to your asset section and get it here. So this is the asset. But if you want to create a animated one, like if you actually want to make it change colors when you're hovering over or anything like that, what you can do is you can create a prototype. This is the prototype. State hover instant. It's instant. And I'm going to only add to those two. And then copy this. And add it in one of your design screens. Let's say this one. And add a flow charting starting point here. Let's say desktop button and click on this present button. So it will load your desktop screen. I'm going to change the Okay, if you go here and hover over it, it will change the state. So this is not a real nice design, but I want to show you how it is working. But you can use it in your designs by using these reusable components for buttons or anything that you think will need. Like if you think that you need to create a card and it is duplicating in entire screen, you can use that. But in this case, it is a button. So, but you can use it for headings and also active states for these images or anything. So these are reusable components. The variants also I discussed in the same uh, example. So let's say in the button. So these are the button variants. So this is the variant 1, this is 2, and it has 3 variants. Button component has 3 variants. So you can add more variants by clicking the plus sign and give it a different style. So finally, I'm going to discuss about responsive design. So let's see how we can design a scroll like a carousel or a uh, responsive scroller. So let's go to our design file. So I'm going to copy one of these squares and paste it here, and more squares. We have uh, 6 squares here. So I'm going to put images inside those. I'm not going to open high resolution image, but we'll use this one. Okay, we have 6 different images. I'm going to tell you how to create a like slider using Figma. So what you have to do is it is following the similar method that we created this particular grid, and I'm going to select all of them and create a frame. So let's call it a slider. Now we have all these images inside it. So let's put it in our phone, a mobile design. Okay. So make it auto layout and give it 10 pixels between elements. I'm going to hide this grid for a little bit. Okay, now we have the slider. So how we can make it a slider is, now let's open this and see. So it is right now, it is not sliding or doing anything. You can see the images on right hand side. Only 2 images is visible. Now select this particular element and then reduce the screen size. Like make it up until here. So where you want to stop your slider. So I'm going to stop it at the end of the frame itself. So even if I load it right now, it won't work. So what you can do is you can go to prototype and then position overflow horizontal. So it will scroll horizontally in your design. So you can see this is the slider using images. So you can use these kind of effects or elements by selecting overflow horizontal. I discuss about overflow vertical in our first session when we designed when I told you about the paragraphs where we can use that. So even here I have the same thing, but it has different effects. So you can have this kind of a cards and make it a slider as well. So that is all about Figma actually. I invited you to do few designs and paste them here, but I can't see anyone has done anything up until now, but you can do your project. Let's discuss about the project. If you have any questions, you can ask now, or if you want me to do some more designs in Figma, let me know right now. Do we do any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. How about Purnima? How about Vijay Mala?
Any doubts with them?
Okay. All right. So let's discuss about the capstone project then. So after that, if you have any questions, you can ask. So I already added it to our classroom a few minutes ago, I think. So this is the project you have to do. You have to submit it within 1 week is ideal, but if you can take 2 weeks if you like, but you have to submit within 2 weeks. So capstone project is a designing a travel experience application. So with all these things you have learned in the class and all these things I discussed today, and even the Figma knowledge you have to design the application. The objective is to, a goal of this assignment is to prompt students to create a concept design for a travel experience app, focusing on user engagement and intuitive interface within a 2 weeks time frame. So I think you already have experience using like travel experience apps such as TripAdvisor and also Booking.com, Agoda, Hotel.com, and so on. So there are many applications in the market where you can download and experience them. I'm pretty sure that you already have experience with them, even if you don't have the application, web version is also there. So you can go through those and do your research and get an idea about what is this project is about. And the task description, you are a part of a design team working on a revolutionary travel experience app that connects users with the personalized local experiences during their trips. Your task is to design the interface for this app, prioritize ease of use, personalization, and engagement. So you have to make sure you don't just design the app, you have to prioritize these things. Interface of the app, prioritizing ease of use. So it should be your target audience are people who travel, like people who already in travel, and you are recommending them the places to go. In the, let's say that one of you uh, is in Kandy. So you have to recommend them what are the things that you can do in Kandy area or anything. So that is the use case of the application. Your task is it to use personalization. So personalization can be, you can just add a personalized screens for them. So one way we can get the personalization for different users, when they're signing up, we can ask questions. Like we can ask them a questionnaire. What are the things that you do in your free time? What are the things you like to do? Do you like hiking, bicycling, or any other things, visit religious places or anything. So you can, based on that input from the users, you can recommend them different places by personalizing their feed and make engagement. Engagement is something like this. So let's say, you know, one person who travel to one of the beaches in eastern side, post a picture. So other people can comment on it, and it is kind of like a Facebook, but don't have much functions. Just like button or commenting will be there. So you can add reviews to certain places. So it is the use case of that personalization and engagement. So these are assignment guidelines. Brainstorm and outline the key features the travel experience app should offer. Consider your user personalization, discovery, booking, and engagement. So user personalization, I already discussed right now. Discovery is the main screen that we are showing them. So for example, let's say when they sign up to your particular app, and that is the first screen they see. So based on their preferences, you recommend different places. Let's say based on their current location, you are recommending them different places. Based on their interest, you are recommending them different places. So those are the things that should be in the discovery page. And booking option should be there. So when they click on that particular image or a setting, the booking option should be there. You should show them what is the price, what is the dates that they can book, the calendar and the time, and the all the details. What is the check-in time? What is the checkout time? What are the options they have, like food options, and do they have a pool? The properties and everything should display it there in a nice way. Like don't fill it with all the details. Use icons and represent like present them in a nicer way where users can easily understand what you are trying to say. So draft a concept of your user story to guide your design process. And I'm only giving you limited time, like 2 weeks maximum. So you don't have to consider all the use cases, all the users. Take one particular user and create a user story for that person and do the design accordingly. So you don't have to worry about any other users or any other user scenarios. So let's say, for example, one user is traveling to uh, eastern side beaches. So when they go there, they want to see what are the places that they can visit. So you should do your user flow based on that. So start from the beginning. You have to mention that this person want to search for the places that they can visit in this particular area. And you have to fine tune your user flow based on that. And you have to do your design based on that as well. Don't have to do, make sure, don't have to worry about all the users. Just take one user and create his story. Create a low fidelity wireframes illustrating the layout and flow of the app. Focus on user interactions, information hierarchy, and ease of navigation. So low fidelity wireframes we discussed last week as well. So you don't have to make it presentable. Just take a paper and do a pencil sketch and attach a uh, photo to your final deliverables. So it should describe user interactions. So, but you have to show like this. If the user click this button, this is the place that they will navigate. The user flow should be there. And information hierarchy. So information hierarchy is something like that. This is the search button. So this is the most prominent thing in this screen. And this is the travel card, like this is the image, and this is the slider. So you have to put those basic main elements in your wireframes as well. Don't have to be in detail, but you have to do the placement and the hierarchy of the design and ease of navigation. So in the, if you are right, this is the mobile application. So you have to create a navigation as well, ideally in the bottom of the screen. But if you have any other suggestions, you are completely free to do your experiments and do the design. But you have to come up with a good rationale. But why did you put your navigation here and so on? And the tool you have to use is Figma. I highly recommend if you can use Figma, it is really good. But if you have experience in any other applications such as Adobe UX XD or SketchUp, it is also fine. Emphasize visual appeal, consistent design language, and intuitive user interactions. So emphasize visual appeal. So your design should be visually appealing. You have to choose colors, you have to choose particular images, typography, and you have to maintain the image to text ratio and everything we discussed in our previous sessions to make it an appealing design for your users. Consistent design language. So in order to make it a consistent design language, you have to create these kind of a components. So it will be easier for you as well as uh, it is a practice that you are using when you are getting a job or working with a client who is already established and have a UX experience as well. And intuitive user interfaces, interactions, you can add micro interactions. So in Figma, if you have time, you can create this kind of a prototype where users can interact with the prototype. So button interactions, these kind of a sliders, or these minimum things should be there. So you can create that by using one component set. Develop an interactive prototype of the application to showcase its functionality and user flow. Prepare a short pitch presentation, slides or video outlining the app's concept, key elements, and a walkthrough of the interactive prototype. Explain how the design enhances the travel experience. So actually, you don't have to create a presentation. If you can create a Figma file and present it next week in the class by telling your user flow, what is your design thinking process roughly, and also what was the ideas behind you, what is the things you thought when you selecting colors, selecting typeface. So it don't have to be a slides or a presentation. You can simply describe them in the present when you're presenting it next week or after. So this is the evaluation criteria. Concept and ideation, originality of the travel app concept and consideration of user needs. Wireframes, clarity and logic in illustrating the app's layout and user flow. So you only have to consider one user flow, one user and one user flow. UI design, application of the design principles, visual appeal, and consistency in the high fidelity designs. High fidelity designs is something like this. These are these are high fidelity design. That is your final output where you send to your developers. So it has to be consistent and visually appealing as well. And you have to apply design principles you learn, such as the atomic design principle and all the principles that we discussed in second week. UI design, application of design principles. Okay, we discussed that. Prototype and pitch, functionality and coherence of the interface prototype, interactive prototype, as well as quality and clarity of the pitch presentation. So if you have a good presentation or a, like, let's say, good design in your Figma, uh, it doesn't do the job actually. Even in the interviews, even though if you create the best design, best user experience, you won't get the job. You have to tell your interviewers what is the ideas behind your design thinking. Why did you choose this particular color? What is the placement? All the things you have to mention. So you have to come up with a story uh, and back your design ideas and present it to the class. This assignment challenges students to apply their UI and UX skills to creative and engaging scenario, focusing on designing a user-friendly travel experience app that reflects both innovative thinking and user-centered design. And these are the deliverables. Share a Figma link to high fidelity design and interactive prototype. Submit a presentation highlighting concept, ideation, wireframes, and UI design aspects. So you have to create the Figma design and you have to put the wireframe, like as I mentioned, the photo of your wireframe in Figma board or your presentation when you're submitting your design. So how you can submit is you can submit it here. Like I can see who are the people that already submitted, and I can give the grades or give you feedback accordingly. So do you have any questions regarding the presentation? No, the assignment, I'm sorry. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email or send us message on WhatsApp group chat. Let me know if you have any questions right now. Okay, so let's go back to our classroom. So I have added few things here, extra resources and also important resources. So let's open them. So this is the color filter I told you about. So when you are designing something for your users, it should be accessible for each and every user. People with visual impairment, colorblind people, and also people with motor impairments, people can't hear. So everyone should be able to benefit from your design. So you can use this particular tool to see how colorblind people can see your design. So you can eliminate using certain colors and use some uh, colors which is helpful for colorblind people to see your designs as well. So if you trying to help the people who can't see, like can't completely see, it is a good idea to have a alternative text or better understandable text content, so they can use their phones screen readers to read it out loud and do the actions accordingly. So these are some accessibility guidelines. So I invite you to read all these articles. So content and structure. So you have to follow all these uh, guidelines when you are doing a design. So these are industry standards, so you have to follow those as well. So here's another podcast, Design Better. So if you uh, using, I think it is in Spotify as well, you can listen to this podcast and get an idea about how to do better designs by the experts in the field. So here we have another about this is about design systems. So this will describe you how to create a design system. Okay, I'm sorry. So why use design system and why not to use design system? So all these things will be there. So you can read them easily. So it will describe you in detail what is the design systems are and how we can use them in our design projects as well. So this is actually a really good guide about how to become a UX designer, the interactive design, and you can follow that and uh, get a better understanding about how to do a industry level UI and UX design and how to talk to your users and information architecture and the job of the designer job roles and what are the things that you have to do and everything will there indeed. And Career Foundry is another platform that you can uh, get better career advices if you are looking for new job opportunity. And it also has articles on UI and UX as well. So these are some sites that give you an understanding about the job roles and salaries and uh, market demands about the UX field. And this is something that I follow. So it will upload videos about what are the latest design trends and how we can find them. So it will be a good motivation for you to do your design. So if you are not up to date with your design, if your design is obsolete, so most of the users will abandon you. So you have to be up to date with your design in daily basis. So if you're following these kind of a YouTube channels or even podcasts or even blogs, it will be really useful for you to stay up to date and do the cutting edge designs that with other co-designers. So this is another podcast. They are discuss about how to start your own business or how to do your designs. So this is another design firm. So I invite you to follow their page and do your designs as well. In your design, when you're starting design, always go to Dribble or Behance and look for similar kind of designs. So it will give you motivation. Otherwise, you might have to think and rethink and do the design and erase it and do again and again. So it will save you time if you have a inspiration and motivation about uh, that you can get from this kind of a design. So you can search like if you are creating a travel application, you can search for travel and get an idea about, let's say, travel mobile app. Can get an idea about what other people have already designed. So you can get an inspiration from these and you do your designs accordingly. Don't copy the exact same thing. Get an idea from each of these and apply it in your design as well. So Behance is another platform you can do the same. Awards is actually for websites. So this is where we get an inspiration for the web designs we do. So if you go here, you can see all these new designs using web like uh, D3JS and animated design and everything will be here. So it will give you an understanding about what is the market expectations when you are doing a design. So if you are not up to date, people won't give you new projects. So this is material design guidelines about the grid layout and you can follow that as well. In Figma, this is how to create a grid layout. I already mentioned that. So you can create a grid layout inside a particular element as well. So you can follow this link in a Google Classroom to make that happen. So that is all for the resources. So after the break, I'm going to discuss about few things about, let's see. Okay, we have this is the program content. So we discuss about what is UI and UX, UX job salary in industry, essential UI and UX technical skills and improve, how to think like a UX designer. So I recommended you few books as well. So those are like design of everyday things is a must. If you want to become a UX designer, you have to read that book at least. And what is the UX portfolio and how to create your portfolio. So I showed you a few portfolio examples and my own portfolio, and also I invited you to create your own portfolio on Behance or Dribble as well. So after you do your capstone project, for the people who don't have any projects to put on their portfolios, you can fine tune that particular project and put on your portfolio as well, because that is the main thing that you have to show your recruiters. So they will ask for your previous design. So you have to send them a portfolio. Then we discuss about UX process, UX process and methods, practical application, design thinking techniques, user research and user interviews, personas, paper wireframes, introduction to UI design in tools, design testing. Introduction to Figma, Figma design essentials, in, industrial Figma design techniques. We discussed about atomic design, component creation, creating a design system. So those are the industrial techniques. Design presentation techniques. So those are the where we create prototype and present it to users. How to become a successful UI and UX designer and engineer. So these are the things that left. So after 15-minute break, I'm going to discuss about how to create a presentable prototype on Figma. So let's take a break and come back in 15 minutes. Okay, welcome back everyone. So I'm going to show you how to create a prototype, like interactive prototype on Figma itself. So this is one design I already have. So let's say this is the step one of the screen. This is a form. Actually, we are getting user input uh, by prompting them these questions, and they can type their answer and press shift, or they can click OK button in the screen. So first question we are asking, this is the step one, and this is how it appear when they type something to the input button, input section. And then after that, this is the second question. So I call it step two, and we are giving them several options to select. And this is how it appear when they click on something. And finally, we are asking them for a date input. So this is how it appear when they complete the date. So finally, in each section, we have this progress bar as well. So in the first one, we have a 33% complete progress bar, and when we start, we have 0%, and finally 100%. So this is how it will look like. So how you can create a flow is like presentation is. Let me delete this. Okay, delete this as well. Okay, now how you can do that is, let's remove that. The first thing you need to do is you have to create a starting point. So we call it flow starting point. So this is the flow starting point, the first step. I'm going to create a flow starting point, and I'm going to rename it as, uh, let's say form here. Put a meaningful name. I'm just putting it for your reference. So what we have to do is when the user click on this or type something on this should appear. So what we can do is we can go to prototype section, and it will give you this kind of a plus icon. So this is the prototype. So when you select on an element, let's say I'm selecting on this element, it will give here as well. But this is the target element we want. We want it to appear only if user click on this particular area. So I'm clicking on that plus icon and dragging it to the next target session. So it will give me options. What is the user behavior? Should it appear on click, on drag? On drag is means like when we are clicking and dragging your mouse while hovering, while pressing. Or we can map it to a specific key on your keyboard, and also mouse center, mouse leave, and those options are there. So I will select on click, and I want to go navigate to this one, step one, dark, this one. And then we can select the animation. It has three different main options: instant, dissolve, and smart animate. Let's select smart animate and leave the other options as it is. So now if you open the flow, let's say I'm opening the presentation prototype. So if user decrease the size as well, and if user click on this will appear. You can see the micro interaction as well, and also the progress bar is also changing. And when user done that, when they click on the OK button here, we want to go navigate them to this particular screen. So what we can do is we can again select this particular OK button, and it will give you this plus icon. We can drag it to our next screen like this. So it will also give you the options, smart animate and everything, reset scroll position. So you can play with them later. And it will show this particular screen. So again, user click on this particular one, rental car transit. I'm going to navigate them to this particular screen, this step 2 navigation. And let's play the presentation again and see how it looks like. Click OK, we'll give these options. And so that is how we create interactive prototypes in Figma. So I will show you few examples of already created prototypes. So okay, this is this prototype final output. When user click on this, it will give this one and again this one. And input a date, find it, and it will give the loading screen like this. All the imported like input user already given. And you can create this loading screen and show them the result in the end. And this is another one I created recently. So I will show you the prototype for that as well. So you can create these kind of animations as well in Figma. So you can see that the loading icon, progress bar, and also it will show the progress up and up here as well. So when user click on generate another video, it will give these options. So if you click on this, it will highlight and then go to step 2. And I already selected the step 2 option because I don't want to show it again how it represent. And then finally we are selecting a template. It is this is the template. So let's say I'm selecting this and click on generate video. So it will generate the video and show the progress here as well. So these are the generated videos. So you can see the scroll. So this is another example of how we can present our customers or the clients or stakeholders, users, our final design and get their user input, valuable input. So that is how we can create a presentation. So I invite you to do a simple presentation prototype on for your capstone projects as well. So it will be really helpful for you to present your ideas to your users as well as your core team members when you are doing a design. So any questions up until now? Okay. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to clarify or you want me to redo something you don't understand. You can tell me now. So these are the things that we already covered. And the final one, how to become a successful UX designer and engineer. Design rules, principles, practices, tips for great design. How to get to your first UX design job. 20 tips for success in your UX design. So I already discussed this part, design rules, principles, practices, tips for great UI design. We already discussed that part. And how to get your first UX design job and 20 tips. I have a presentation for 20 tips as well. I think it's better if we can do it after your assignment done. So during this week, uh, will you be able to do the presentation, like do your assignments within a week, or do you need 2 weeks? Let me know. send a message on Zoom chat. So it seems you can do it within 1 week, is it? 2 weeks would be helpful. Okay. Okay, you have 2 weeks. If you have any questions during that time, you can send a message, or we can actually do another extra session to discuss that. And in the final session, I will go through that how to get a job, first job in UI and UX field. And also, I will review your projects. And finally, I'm going to present you, like give you some extra tips about how to uh, get a job, like uh, the presentation I showed you already. So uh, I think I covered everything in the syllabus actually. So you can ask me anything, any questions. I'm happy to give you detailed answer, or if it is a Figma related question, I'm happy to do it from the beginning. So if you have any clarifications, any doubts, or anything that you want further details, please ask now so I can give you more detail. Okay. Another question. So for the next session, so you wanted 2 weeks. So we are going to have our next session on 14th day. So will you be able to join around 8 a.m. on that day? 8 in the morning? Do we do? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about Purnima? Okay. How about Vijayamala? 8 a.m. Is that okay? Okay, cool. So I'm going to end the session for today. So if you have any questions regarding your uh, assignment, you can send me a message on WhatsApp. So I will answer your questions as well. In the meantime, if you have any other questions, any other concerns that you think that I didn't cover up this particular subject enough, this particular topic enough, you can send me a message so we can discuss it in detail in our next session. So that is it from my end. I hope everyone understood what we did so far and learned something new. So happy New Year to everyone, and we'll see you on 14th. And if you want any session prior to that, let me know. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Happy New Year.